Fiction, which is already becoming a reality. How to open the green door to the future. The net profit of a clear country, and it is possible to prevent global warming. Alternative energy sources, unique technologies, and what you never knew existed. Life Science, watch it now.
Nobody who has paid any attention to the features of our present era will doubt for a moment that we are living in a period of wonderful transition, which tends to accomplish that great end in which all history points, the realization of the unity of mankind. An excerpt from Prince Albert's speech. In today's program, the UK experience. Prince Albert has done a great job. Who is going to change the reality? The visionaries? I will do everything in my power to help the human race redirect planet Earth, because otherwise there will be a major disaster in 60 years.
Я представляю, что будет на планете через лет 60. Катастрофа.
Where will a green bridge be built between states?
Expo is a very important moment in global history.
And here is an expert forecast. I believe there will be a rising interest in new ways and methods of power generation. How do we combine future technologies with Kazakhstan's developments? There are incredible forecasts of the futurists. And what are the results of the expos? Step into the future. Robots, vacuum cleaner, beetle, snake, carousel and industrial conveyors. Not on any industrial scale. Today's class is free. The task is to come up with an idea, write a program and implement the mechanisms of the future from the details of the present. Evolution happens through science, making science a reality. That is production, manufacturing technologies. They need building and engineering. We teach kids to build stuff. That way they can have a vision of the future. Krill's nearest plans are to build an Iron Man, to share the idea with farmers on how to use drones in fields, and to attend the expo. Many things that we use now were once presented at a World's Fair. For instance, first mobile phones were showcased at an expo. The same goes for computers. I remember the first computer. It was a giant. It shut down the electricity feed to an entire neighborhood for a week. It was a tough life then.
Когда его запустили, он выключил на целую неделю ток в целом районе. Да, не сладко жилось.
10-year-old Carol cannot remember that, but this is how it all started. How England was ahead of everyone. A double-decker bus appears on Piccadilly Street. It requires great skill and experience to drive such a massive bus on the narrow streets of London. Mid-19th century. Queen Victoria's husband, Prince Albert, was a forward-thinking man. He embraced scientific and technological progress. It was his idea to open an international exposition depicting the latest achievements in science and technology. The first Universal Exposition was held in 1851. Queen Victoria opened the first World's Fair in Hyde Park. Crystal Palace was the first expo pavilion. Unfortunately, it was not preserved until our days. However, there are plenty of records of the event. The double-decker bus is one of the symbols of the British capital. Its prototype appeared during the first Universal Exposition. There was such a demand to attend the event that the owners of omnibuses built second floors on their vehicles. The first Universal Exposition gave the world many other innovations. A prototype of a fax machine and a predictor of storms. The very first Expo Pavilion was a giant building of glass and steel, a forerunner of many modern buildings. It's good that this has become such a regular tradition, because it's almost impossible to find projects simply wandering around towns and villages. Therefore, it was necessary to organize such a forum.
По городам и селам, практически невозможно. Поэтому нужно было организовать такой форум.
And so it started. The eternal rival of England, France, picked up the idea, and 4 years later, Paris demonstrated the next technological achievements: a lawnmower, a washing machine, and a talking doll. Then, other countries and cities joined. Vienna presented an electric lamp and electric machines. Philadelphia came up with a typewriter, telephone, and steam engines. The first industrial revolution was the invention of a steam engine about 200 years ago. Its implementation predetermined history, geopolitics, wars, political and economic development in the 19th century. With its appearance, the life of mankind changed. After the steam engine was invented, millions of horses became unnecessary. The list can be continued. Milan with its railway transport breakthrough, Chicago with the zipper and a Ferris wheel. The latter was an answer to the Eiffel Tower. Paris has hosted multiple expositions. The Eiffel Tower was the entrance of the 1889 Universal Exposition, held to mark a century since the capture of the Bastille. However, the main highlight of the fair was not the tower but electricity. The journalist called in the queen of the exhibition, Moulin Rouge, was also built for the expo. The list goes on and on. Kazakhstan has been a member of the International Exhibition Bureau since 1997 and has been participating in all the world's fairs since 2005. This year, the country will host the expo. Kazakhstan will be the first former Soviet country and the first Central Asian state to host this event.
Expo is a very important moment in global history. Why? Because Kazakhstan is an oil and gas producing country. It would become the first country which is an oil and gas producing country which gives a message to the world that you can diversify your economy. You can be an example to all other oil producing countries that oil resource will finish sometimes. We have to start thinking about the future.
Astana Expo 2017 is a unique opportunity to showcase to the world the new technologies, achievements, exchange innovations, and ideas. At one global forum in New Delhi, speakers of 3 countries, India, Kazakhstan, and the UK, are discussing new global transformations.
Coming from history of Silk Road, where we used to trade through caravans, transforming into modern Silk Road of green energy and smart infrastructure.
The Great Silk Road has been famous since ancient times as a path of innovation, as a transport corridor of new technologies, say the experts on the sidelines of the Indian Forum, while they discuss the next forum to be held in Kazakhstan.
But I think one of the things Kazakhstan must do is also to promote itself.
I think you needed a platform, an independent platform to debate and discuss on issues of fundamentally.
And I think it'd be great to have more of this types of exhibitions so people can be invited to attend that and also learn about the culture there.
Harjiv Singh, one of the founders of the Global Forum, is sure that such platforms are simply necessary, and informal communication is a kind of mechanism for the possible introduction of ideas of the future into the present.
We all inhabit the same planet, and that's why we call it One Globe Forum. Because when you go off into outer space and look at planet Earth, you realize that we all share the same little tiny planet in the universe.
India will have a large pavilion at Expo 2017 in Astana. India has a lot to brag about. The Republic is one of the world's 10 leading producers of alternative energy.
One simple fact is that if you think about how when you move in a car for 10 minutes from anywhere to anywhere, on average, that energy used during this moment of moving is same as having your telephone charger plugged in for 3 years. This is the kind of number we have to think about.
Energy partnership is a profitable area, says the participant of the forthcoming exhibition, Professor Siddharth Saxena.
So Kazakhstan should not be thinking about making new iPads or new cars. It should be thinking about making components which can go into any car or into any iPhone.
The British scientist knows what he's talking about. He has developed 4 new superconductors. According to him, many existing technologies are not introduced in mass production because of the lack of what is abundance in Kazakhstan.
A relationship between India and Kazakhstan in which both the social models of urbanization and the models of how we use new technologies which are beyond the use of silicon, the post-silicon world, which is waiting to happen, can only happen with joining the technical manufacturing capacity of India and the mineral wealth of Kazakhstan.
India is making great efforts in this regard, but they have been stopped. We have nothing to experiment with. The rare earth base is located in our country. The main raw materials that are used in the technologies of the future, and hence the main component of the new industrial revolution. Without it, production of smartphones, computers, TVs, and energy-saving light bulbs is unthinkable. Suppose we manage to achieve some breakthroughs using our rich base of polymers, and most importantly, rare earth materials. Suddenly, assume we are hypothetically discovering some new conductor, i.e. a chip whose conductivity excels the current one. The chip itself does not take much space. It's easier to transport it. It remains only to implement this proposal, and then a revolutionary breakthrough is not far off. Albert Bolotov looks at the screen with impatience. Even the most advanced technologies are far behind the speed of academic thought, so the computer freezes. Lecture number 7, Electricity of the Future. Promising areas of safe production, energy that is distributed to everybody equally, a fundamentally new organization. Kazakhstan will present its technologies in the so-called Sphere Pavilion. Here is more information about the forthcoming exhibition. 200 applications from Kazakh companies have been analyzed. 27 applications have been selected.
Предложение от Казахстана отобрано 27 разработок.
Among them is an installation made under the leadership of Albert Bolotov. Here is how he forecasts how the world will change after the expo. In my opinion, there will be a sharp increase in interest in developing new ways of generating electricity, increasing the efficiency of its use, and this will give a powerful impetus to the recovery of the economy of Kazakhstan. The Stone Age ended not because the stones ended, but because there were new ideas, because the thought went ahead. The Accommodation likes to repeat that. The Stone Age of energy is coming to an end. Bolotov believes Kazakhstan, with its vast territory and low population density, alternative energy is the best solution. Mankind is very concerned about the energy supply. Every minute, 160 babies are born across the globe, an increase of the global population by 160 people per minute. Traditional energy sources should at least decrease. Of course, it's impossible to stop using traditional energy right away. Locomotives still run on the old fuel. Why? Because that is so much easier. But the widespread use of old ways of obtaining energy should be terminated, of course. The world has entered a new era. That is an unalterable fact, the era of the fourth industrial revolution. There is a huge critical mass of research, scientific research on a variety of disciplines and industries, including applied science. Applied science has already been practically prepared, and whole packages of technologies have been introduced. Very soon many industries will simply cease to exist, but there will be others. The great change is taking place before our eyes. This is both a historical challenge and a chance for the nation, said the Kazakh president's recent message to the people of Kazakhstan. Our lives, perceptions will change. The forerunner and component of the revolution is the communication of the revolution, the digital revolution that we are experiencing right now. The whole world is experiencing this right now. Technologies are growing so fast. 10 years ago, we did not imagine what would be happening now. In 2007, there were no smartphones. There wasn't such development on the internet. There were no such technologies, such volumes of memory, such speeds of processors, etc. We have the opportunity in the decades ahead to make major strides in addressing the great challenges of humanity. Artificial intelligence will be the pivotal technology in achieving this progress. We have a moral imperative to realize this promise while controlling the peril, believes futurologist Ray Kurzweil. What will happen in 20 years is impossible to imagine. A wildest fantasy may come true. Here are some of the most common predictions from futurists. Telekinesis will become a reality. 3D printers will be able to print organs for transplantation, and a space elevator will easily deliver anyone, for example, to the moon. So, robot football will be children's play compared to the progress that awaits for us. Visitors from the future. They translate the future into the present, and they have their own forecasts and their decisions. I really believe that our humanity will of course switch to electric cars. Maybe they will come up with big robots that can walk. They will be able to walk like people. So the energy comes to us from the sun, so that we do not extract and use oil. Well, maybe the phones will be transparent like glass. Maybe they can be moved to the wall somehow, and TVs can be rolled up and carried like a carpet.
Может быть, их вообще можно будет на стену перенести как-нибудь. А телевизоры можно будет скатывать и переносить как ковер.
I want to make a robot that roams the parks and collects garbage there, which bad people throw away.
Плохие люди выбрасывают.
There are hundreds of options, and only one prediction can be considered correct. Soon the Universal Exposition will open in Astana, and this will undoubtedly be a great step forward. Now there are about 5% of people who think about completely new energy. New energy is created in the minds, in laboratories, by a small number of people. There was a great physicist, scientist, named Nikola Tesla, who, in the last century, proved that energy is everywhere around us. Let us become extraordinary. We will gather in Kazakhstan those who are already thinking about exceptional things. We will give them opportunities. From the speech of the President of Kazakhstan, Nursultan Nazarbayev.